What's up, guys? Mike Rice here, Mike Rice Auction Wholesale, 1707 4th Street. Hey, so one thing I get a lot of questions about are flea market booths. What, are they beneficial? What do they do? And I will tell you 100%, we got started in the flea market business. And, well, a lot of people don't call them flea markets. Some people call them consignment shops, boutiques, vendor malls, whatever you want to call it. But they are 100% a great avenue. So we've got tons of booths. We probably have 15 different flea markets that we're in. And I get, hey, people ask all the time, what do we need to be knowing about these flea markets? What questions to ask? And I'll tell you this, out of probably the 20 years that we've been in the flea markets, it has done really well for us. It has paid bills. One good thing about flea markets or vendor booths is they take care of paying your sales tax. They take care of paying your employees. They take care of paying the power bill. All you got to do is go in there, stock your booth, and collect a check once a month or once a week or whatever. But I will tell you, there's 3 questions that I like to ask every vendor mall or every vendor booth. Number one, obviously, what is the rent? If I can't afford the rent, if the rent's a little too high, we might have an issue. I mean, obviously, if you can't afford it, there's no sense in jumping into it. I would say keep your rent, under $2 a square foot. A lot of vendor malls are at $1 a square foot, but there are some boutiques, some higher end, that can charge upwards to $1.50 to $1.75 a square foot. And that's just, hey, if they're making the money, they can charge it. That more power to them. Also, go in that mall, go walk around that vendor mall, see if there's any people there. Scope it out. Are there any cars in the parking lot? When you ride by, are there a bunch of cars in the parking lot? I see a lot of people moving out of flea market booths, especially this time of year when it's hot, saying, I just couldn't sell nothing. I just couldn't sell nothing. But the parking lot's always full, so maybe that's a you problem. Maybe your prices are too high. Maybe your booth needs to be worked. The second question that I always ask, what percentage commission do you take? That's a big question, because the difference between an 8.5% commission and a 12% commission or 15% commission, some of these places are charging 20% commission. You got to be able to know your operating costs. So if I know I'm making 50% on an item, and the vendor mall is taking 20% of that profit, well, then I got to also pay rent to that mall as well. So I got to factor that in. And sometimes I've been in a vendor mall where I was paying them more than we were making. So if we made, let's just say $1,000, and 50% of that was profit, and my rent was $500, I mean, there goes most of your profit right out the door. If you're only making $200 or $300 and your rent's $100, that's 50% of your what you bring in. So there's that. And then the third thing, and there's a lot of people that either don't want to ask this question or they get scared to ask this question: what is the highest paid vendor in your booth, in your market? What is the highest paid vendor making? If you're at a good vendor mall and they don't mind, they shouldn't mind sharing that information. Obviously, they're not going to say, well, Joe Blow over here, he's making $1,000. But they can give you a range. And what that does is that kind of tells you what to expect. Maybe you might not be the top seller, but that's giving you the potential of what that mall can do. So, if they say, hey, our top vendor is doing $5,000 a month, your rent's $200 or $300 a month, you could fall somewhere into that category. Okay, but now if they don't want to disclose what their top vendor's making, usually it's not a lot. They say, it varies. I'm not asking for exact numbers, but they should be able to give you a roundabout number. And if their top vendor's only doing $1,000 or $500 a month, probably not a good place to be. So hope this helps you guys, and we'll see you on down the road.